Продовжуємо роботу в Українському кризовому медіа-центрі. Запрошую до слова полковника.
We continue our work in Ukrainian crisis media center, and let me give the floor to Mr. Motuzyanyk, the spokesman of the Defense Ministry of Ukraine. Good afternoon, everybody. During the last 24 hours, in the area of counter-terrorist operation, the adversary continued to violate the regime of silence using the arms prohibited by the Minsk agreements. One of the tanks fired at Ukrainian positions a number of machine guns, infantry fighting vehicle, and some anti-aircraft machine guns. At Lugansk, or in Lugansk area, there were four targeted firing against Ukrainian positions. There were also a number of shootings against Ukrainian military at in Svetlodarsk area with the use of grenade launchers. In the cases when Ukrainian servicemen lives were threatened, they fired against the separatists. In Donetsk area, the situation was more tense. The most tense situations occurred near Pisky, Vodane, and Novoselivka Druha. Thus, the separatists used 120-millimeter mortars, and one tank was used for firing against Ukrainian positions. In total, there were 12 firing, 12 times the Ukrainian positions were fired at. Practically all the small firearms, every type of firearms, small firearms, was used against the Ukrainian positions, and the Ukrainian military responded with firing with the arms not prohibited by the Minsk agreements. In total, there were 16 times when the firearms were used against the positions of the armed forces of Ukraine, and Ukrainian military 10 times fired against the separatists. Regrettably, one Ukrainian military personnel member perished at Novoselivka Druha area, in that area. And two more servicemen were wounded at near Lugansk, or in the Lugansk area. Today, they are being attended by the medical personnel and are receiving medical assistance. According to the Ministry of Defense of Ukraine's main department of intelligence, the most serious concern of the command of the pro-Russian forces is their inability to stop the lowering of the level of military discipline, and also they confronted the growing non-combat losses. An important information is yesterday's meeting between the Minister of Defense of Ukraine, General Poltorak, and Japanese ambassador in Ukraine, Mr. Sumi Shigeki. The leader of Ukraine's military ministry thanked the ambassador for his efforts that have been exerted for a long time in support of Ukraine. At the same day, the some medical equipment was transferred to was donated rather to Ukrainian military personnel, including 5 anesthetic stations. that can be used during long-time surgeries. These stations were acquired within the framework of the project of Ukraine's of the government of Japan's assistance to Ukraine, implemented by the United Nations Office of Project Servicing. On the eve of New Year holiday, some of the units of Ukraine's armed forces in Donetsk area were given sufficient, substantial assistance in terms of new means of camouflage. Thus, the NGO Народна самооборона Львівщини provided some camouflage nets and public, or rather NGO Promień Volnovacha provided Ukrainian military with new camouflage garment. At the same time, the personnel of the Kharkiv regional recruiting station and the personnel of the local recruiting stations of that area gave their blood, donated rather their blood for the blood banks that are used for the treatment of the personnel injured during the hostilities in the east of Ukraine. In total, there were 8 liters of blood donated by the donors of those military organizations. The repairing units of the Ministry for Emergency Situations of Ukraine renewed or completed their renovation works on a number of buildings in the area of Michurin Street of Svitlodarsk. If you don't have any questions, ladies and gentlemen, let me finish with, at this point, with my presentation. Thank you.